Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, QuantumThrive Hub. This is video number 2, grassroots, baby, grassroots. So I want to address a topic today, or several topics, 2 topics. I want to talk about burnout and what that means for people. And if you are suffering burnout and lacking motivation and drive and direction and maybe struggling to find the motivation to get out of bed and go to work on a Monday, keep watching this video. This video is for you. If you are trying to navigate change in your life, the fast-paced world that we now live in, and through navigating that change and understanding what the future might look like for you and how you're positioned in that future, and trying to understand how to adopt and flow with the evolution of change, then keep watching this video. This video is for you. So, quick recap, because I'm still brand new to the internet. QuantumThrive Hub is the practice and the company that I've founded. My name is Robert Russell, and I am a life coach and a career coach. And my whole mission statement is to get the best out of people, right? And the way in which I do that is I help illuminate people's life paths for them and basically just take up the facilitation of being your personal navigator through life's most interesting and challenging journeys, paths, questions, goals, challenges, all of it. So I'm the navigator, and I have used a very unique combination of data sets to enable me to provide clarity to people and bring meaning into the problem statements that they put forward to me. And help create really structured plans to move from point A to point B in their lives. So back to the topics at hand: change, burnout, lacking motivation, lacking drive, lacking momentum, just lacking, right? So to understand that a little bit, okay, it's a multi-layered topic, and we're taking a very narrow field of view today and in addressing that topic. So I don't want to negate the complexities of what it is that I'm talking towards today, or talking to today, right? Because it is a really, really multifaceted topic. Okay. So let's take the idea of being burnt out right now. Okay. So if you're an individual who hates what they do for a living, and you might not be alone in this scenario, I try not to use statistics because most statistics are made up on the spot, but there is one that is commonly known in my circles around the fact that 70% of people don't enjoy what they do for a living. Okay, so it begs the question that if you're not enjoying what you're doing with your life, and if you look at the total quantum of your lifespan, okay, what you do for a living makes up a large majority of your days. So if you spent the majority of your life doing something for a living that doesn't fulfill you, doesn't motivate you, doesn't inspire you, doesn't challenge you, doesn't give you a foundation to grow, that's a problem. So I can resonate with the statistic that 70% of people don't enjoy what they're doing for a living, because if I look at the world as a whole, I can understand that. I'm sitting now in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and just the clients that I engage with, I see this on a daily basis. I see people just looking at themselves and their lives and their careers and their future and thinking, where to now? What do I do? Where do I apply myself? What am I even interested in? These are big questions. So, if you're sitting in a position where you're struggling to get out of bed on a Monday morning to get to work and you're feeling burnt out, there's good reason for that, is what I'd like to bring to the forefront of the discussion today. So let's address the burnout first, okay? And what that means. So if you're sitting in your current capacity, You hold a designation in a business, maybe in a corporate career. You run your own practice. You're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're just starting off and you're in your early 20s and you're cutting your teeth in multiple industries, different sectors, different roles, different designations, and you're lacking direction and you're feeling burnt out and a little bit bewildered, or you're in a corporate career and you've been so for the past 5, 8, 10, 15 years, and you don't know what the next thing is, right? And how to get there. Not having a view of the future, not having an understanding of what your next step is, not having hope, feeling like your back's up against the wall, and feeling like everything that you're doing is just serving somebody else and building somebody else's dream, right? Those are very, very disheartening positions to be in, right? If you think about the emotional reception to those comments and those statements, and that doesn't really fill me with a lot of hope. It doesn't fill me with a lot of energy, right? So I can totally understand the position that people find themselves in when they're feeling these things and when they're thinking this way. But like I said earlier, this is a multifaceted topic, right? This is very, very layered, and there are a multitude of reasons as to why you might be in the position that you're in. So let's start from the perspective of where I come from and where I position understanding in people's lives. To understand your current situation, it would do well for you to have a good representation of why you are the way where you are in your life and how you got here, right? But to take an objective view of yourself, right, you need to disassociate from the feelings of unworthiness, the feelings that you're not good enough, the feelings that everything is too hard and you're a victim in your life, and that everything's working and conspiring against you, and that you can't seem to get ahead, and that something always goes wrong. You know, these belief systems, these viewpoints that you have in your life are there for good reasons and have probably served you for most of your life. And the reason why you're feeling the way that you're feeling now is because these perspectives of self and perspectives of life are no longer serving you. So belief systems are interesting things, right? These codexes that get implanted in us often happen at an early age, right? We go through a developmental period of our lives when we're born to 7 years old, where we're basically in theta brainwaves, and our brain is just absorbing information as we go along. So we're kind of like in a hypnotic state, right? And there's like direct access to the subconscious. So any events that happen during these periods, so we call them ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and they could be minor or major. Anything that happens during these developmental years really do shape you, right? They can define the way you see yourself, the way you see others, how you associate with primary relationships in your life, male relationships, female relationships, and the world in general, and your position throughout it, right? So these belief systems can get formed and seated in you at a very early age as a result of some sort of emotional event, right? Very, very common word that's going around, term right now that's going around is trauma, right? So early trauma. So these trauma events can shape you, shape your belief systems, shape your thinking, shape your identity, okay? And you can spend your entire adult life being shaped by these events and having these belief systems firmly cemented in you, right? And they become part of your identity. So then it's difficult for somebody who's facing burnout to stop and sit and think, you know, oh, there's hope for me. There are options. I'm not alone. I can do this. I'm worthy of change. I'm worthy of these big ideas that I have, right? There can be quite a gap between thinking that and believing that. And that might very well be based on the trauma that you've incurred in your life and how that shaped you. Okay. So, without getting into too much of that, because that is a series of videos on its own, what I try and do for people is I try to understand and meet them where they're at right here, right now. Okay. To say, there is no judgment. Okay. And you should not be judging yourself. These psychological defense mechanisms and these behavioral traits that you've developed over time have served you, and they've served a good purpose in your life, and they've helped you survive through life, and they've helped you get through life, right? But they might not be serving you anymore. So to understand them and work through them to get up to speed is really just in an effort to realign yourself with your authentic nature, right? Because we all came through into this world as authentic beings, right? But disassociating from that authentic self, okay, was primarily due to factors like having to maintain the survival connections, mom and dad connections, or whoever you imprinted on as mom and dad when you were younger, right? So a lot of us lose touch of who we are authentically along the way. Okay. And now we find ourselves in our late 20s, mid 30s, 40s, maybe even your 50s, and thinking, where am I going with my life? What am I actually doing? What is the end result here? What is the goal? What am I aiming towards? Right. And that might be a huge question mark. It might leave you feeling hollow and empty. It might leave you feeling despondent. It might leave you feeling unmotivated. So there's a lot to it, right? And then you go and you slap on the fact that the world is changing at a rapid pace right now. Okay. We've got advancements in AI. We've got macroeconomic factors. The United States are slapping around new policies left, right, and center. Trump is doing a hoo-ha. You know, we've got Elon Musk in the White House implementing Doge. It's just crazy things that are going on. Crazy and a crazy time to be alive. We've come out of COVID. We are still as a society, a broader society, recovering from COVID. Businesses are still recovering from COVID. Like I said, I sit in South Africa, in Johannesburg. Our economic climate is on a rapid uptake right now to make up for lost ground because of lockdown. Okay. And so I know in my economic climate, this is a very, very, very real thing where people are feeling burnt out and feeling like, what's next? But burnout doesn't mean that you need to jump ship. It doesn't mean that you need to find a new career. It doesn't mean that you need to start your own business. It doesn't mean any of those things. And it can mean those things at the same time. It's a bit of a dichotomy. So we need to address burnout at its core crux, right? So to start to do that, understanding yourself intrinsically and who you are just naturally, who you were meant to be, right, is a great starting point for people. For people that have got a huge question mark and are a bit lost, right? Who am I and what am I doing? A great starting point is to starting point is to position that and map that out for individuals, right? And how do we do that? Well, what I do in my coaching practice is I use three main data sets. Okay, I use numerology, which might be a new term for some. So this is understanding what your life path number is. Okay. There is a huge amount of personal information that comes out of your life path number. Everybody that I've shown this to has come back to me saying, I can't believe how accurate this is. I can't believe how true these statements are. I've never felt more understood. Right? Life path number on its own is a game changer. But then we add things like astrology, which most people are afraid with, because there's good data that comes out of astrology, right? Your astrological sign, your sun and moon signs, those are really applicable. Whether you believe in it or not, those things are insanely accurate. Okay. So understanding your cosmic positioning in the universe, okay, is of great advantage. Then we add in a third layer, which is a psychological mapping, a psychological framework, personality framework, profiling framework. And the one that I really like to use is Myers-Briggs. So that gives you more of a westernized clinical understanding of a personality type. So they identify it by like INFJ-T or -A, ENFTP. They've got different sort of acronyms and tags for each one of their personalities, and there are many of them. And these drill into your strengths, your weaknesses, what your ideal career path should be, where your personality is most suited in the corporate world, or what sort of practice you should be running. So it gives you some ideas. It percolates thinking and helps you start to say, all right, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Like I've always felt like I engage with people in this way. I've always felt like this is a natural talent of mine. I've always felt like I should be doing this, right? It just helps to paint a really good picture. So bringing those three things in and creating a hyper-personalized artifact for people, and this is what I do for clients, create a hyper-personalized artifact whereby you can understand exactly who you are intrinsically, what your cosmic mapping is. This brings a different definition to career alchemy, right? Because there's two different paths you can take this in, but in the sense of your career, and let's stay on track for today. In the sense of your career, understanding this profiling and having a very detailed view of who you are brings it really brings to the forefront a great sense of understanding, and it gives a lot of aha moments, right? Where you can say to yourself, holy crap, I really, really understand that. And I've had examples of that in my life. And yes, that where I've applied that, where I've seen those strengths and practices, I really resonate with that. And I know those to be my weaknesses. But then to bring it into the context of career, what am I doing with my life, right? What am I doing with my days? Okay. Then you start to bring a bit of structure to the problem statement of burnout, right? Why am I burnt out? Why am I not feeling drive and purpose and fulfillment? Well, maybe it's because what you're doing with your life is completely misaligned with who you are intrinsically. Maybe you've ended up in an industry, in a career, in a designation that is just so far left field of what you are naturally inclined to, right? What you have natural inclinations towards. Okay, so this data is really powerful. So where can you get going? Okay, let's look at just numerology for today. I want you to go use whatever AI platform that you affiliate with, whether it's Gemini, ChatGPT, it really doesn't matter. I want you to do the following. Go put in your date of birth, right? So 13th of October, 1988, and ask AI to tell you and work out what your life path number is. And then ask it to give you a breakdown of what this translates back into your current career in terms of your strengths and your weaknesses, okay, or your strengths and the challenges that you face, and how your life path number matches your current career path, and where there is alignment and misalignment. And ask AI to give your current career path a rating out of 10 in terms of what your life path number is and what your life path number and ideal career paths alignment should be. So go try that, do that. That's a little takeaway for today. And I'd love to hear what the outcomes were. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear what you think just around the topic of numerology and how much insight that gave you. Okay. And if you'd like to take the conversation further and engage with me directly, hit a hashtag in the comments, just hashtag career, and I will reach out to you and we can start to unravel that a little bit more, because AI is a great broad stroke, right? You can get a good holistic view and a lot of interesting data through AI, but you still need that personal touch, that human intuition, that deeper level of empathy and emotional understanding from a human being to another human being to really hit those points home and to make sense of it and to bring structure to it, right? And the way that we can unpack that further is that you create a career artifact for yourself and you define who you are, where you're currently at, give that a rating out of 10, give your top 3 career paths that are perfectly aligned with your unique profile, give those a rating out of 10, and then give a structured roadmap and plan on how you can achieve a transition point, whether it's transitioning into a new role in your current company, whether it's leaving the company and the industry for another one, whether it's starting up your own practice. Different people require different things. But a deep dive and an understanding of who you are and where you're supposed to be in life really, really, really helps. It really helps the individual find purpose and meaning just through data, right? Data of self. So it's a great starting point. And the clients that I've worked with, that I've created career plans for, where we've looked at their holistic profile, right? Mapped out their numerology, their life path number, their astrology signs, their Myers-Briggs, brought that all and synthesized that together to give a hyper personalized, unique mapping of who they are. And then we take a snapshot of where they are at in their current career path, and then draw out a structured plan of transition plan. That's part of that. That's the beauty of coaching, right? And there are elements that you can do yourself at home in terms of just understanding your profile and getting intimate with your profile and playing around with that. AI is a great tool to do that with. And my suggestion straight off the bat is, if you're feeling burnt out, play around with the conversation with AI, put in your date of birth, ask it what your life path number is, and ask it to map that against your current career, your current designation. Give it a score out of 10. Show you where you're aligned and where you're disaligned, and what you could do to improve that. And just as a little takeaway, I think, closing note, navigating change in the modern world in 2025 is it's a multifaceted topic. It's like you're rowing down a stream. It's like you're rowing down a river, right? And you can feel the flow of the river, right? And you're rowing with it, and you're going in a direction, but you don't know exactly where that endpoint is. Where does it come out? And you can't really see around the bend. And that's kind of where I think a lot of us are now, with AI and robotics and the world and the economic climate as it is. I think there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of disruption in the markets, and I think the impact's being felt around the world. I can particularly say it's being felt here in South Africa. To use the South African term, I see a lot of people cucking off in their current roles, but it's not a inferential statement. Not everybody's in this position, but I think a lot of people are facing the question around, where am I going? What am I doing? What am I working towards? What is my purpose? What is the meaning to all this? Where is meaning in my life? And if those are questions that are pertinent to you, understanding your life path number is a great first step. So I encourage you to take that first step. I encourage you to engage with it further. If you want to reach out, if you want a free assessment, if you'd like me to go a little bit deeper with you and show you the power of bringing those three together, then, as I said, just hit me up with a comment, #career. I'll reach out to you, get in touch, and we can take it from there. Enjoy. Sayonara for now.